last video, we dropped the tank, and in this video, we're gonna go and install it back in the car. It's just the opposite of removing it, but I just wanted to mention a couple of things about the tanks. Dimensionally, all the fuel tanks should be the same from 74 to 93. They should all be for like 15.8 or 16 gallons in terms of capacity, and they should all mount to the body with the 5 bolts, 2 on the sides, 1 in the middle. However, there are minor differences. From 74 to 78, I believe they all had a built-in filler tube that cannot be disconnected from the pump, from the tank at the base of the tank. So it's half a filler tube, and the other half comes out like this, and it's connected by a rubber hose. And this side would actually go to the fender wall where you fill in the gas. Another difference there is that with those earlier tanks, there's an actual pump that is attached to the outside of the tank. So it's a tank pump that's also the main pump, but it's attached to the outside. And I think it wasn't until 77 where there's an in-tank pump that was standard to pull fuel out. So you can't really use any era of tank, even though the capacities are usually the same. But anywhere from, I believe it's 79 to 93, you should be good to go. Another thing to keep in mind is that you want to keep the filler tube if you are getting a new tank. I don't think the new tanks come with a new filler neck, so you might have to reuse your old one. So when you're taking it out, you want to take care to not bend or break or damage it in any way. I don't really see them for sale separately, but yeah. So we've got the new tank or the old tank that's been cleaned, and I actually got it cleaned from a semi-local place in Taylor, Texas. They do commercial radiator cleaning. It was difficult to find a place that actually would clean just the fuel tanks. So if you're looking for a place to do that, if that's the route you want to take, check out radiator cleaning services and see if they'll do it. How they usually clean it is some sort of, I think it's some sort of acid hot bath, and then they pressure wash the inside to clear it out. The shop told me that the tank wasn't really dirty, it wasn't really rusty. There was just some sediment in there, so I think they're just using hot water to clean it out and just pressure wash it. And it's technically something I could have done at home. The only main issue there is that the refuse water I'd have to dispose of, just to be environmental. I wouldn't want to dump it everywhere. But I've heard of people cleaning their fuel tanks at home. They just jack it up with an engine hoist, put I guess a 2-foot piece of chain in there, and just some detergent, and then you just kind of slosh it around. The chain breaks up all the scale and the rust, and then you drain it out, pressure wash it, let it dry out, and it technically should be good to go. But again, I don't really have I don't want to deal with getting rid of the refuse water, so I took it to a shop. Yeah, so yeah, we'll go ahead and get out there and stick the tank in. All right, so here's the freshly cleaned tank. Inside, it still looks pretty good. I think they used some acid to clean it, and then they rinsed it out, and then there's like a layer of WD-40 just to keep things from flash rusting. And that should be able to mix with the gasoline and be fine. So we're gonna stick this back in. First things first is you want to put the filler tube in from the underneath. And let's see. All right, that looks about right. Catch it from the other side. All right, now the filler tube's in place, and we can go ahead and lift the tank up. So I want to make sure the filler tube goes through from the underside. Since this is a beveled type of bushing, it can only fit from the back or underneath the car. And while you put everything through, you want to make sure that the filler tube also goes through the fender wall. It's kind of rough getting everything all lined up. It helps to have a transmission jack or a block of wood there, but essentially you can see how I kind of scraped up the new finish on the tank. But once it's in place, you line up the filler tube and then get the clamp on there, tighten it up, make sure the clamp covers both the both lips of the filler tube and the tank with the rubber O-ring in the middle. Make sure it's lined up before you torque it down, and also make sure the filler tube is aligned correctly with the vent hole going upwards, so you can put that on. Then after that, it's just a matter of putting all the bolts on. All right, so the new tank is in. Definitely easier taking it out than putting it back in. You just want to be careful not to bend the tube and to not puncture the tank once you're putting everything up there. But I've got everything bolted in. I don't really have the torque specs for the actual tank. I just make it, tight enough type of thing. Another thing to keep in mind is, so the whole time I was moving the tank up, I did have the fuel sender hole covered up. It's because there's a lot of stuff underneath you don't want falling into your fresh tank. And then you don't want to forget this little gasket either. It's kind of a pain to get the lip around to where it's sealed against it from the trunk. But if you use a flathead screwdriver from the outside, pushing down and in, you'll get the lip flipped up, and that should do it. And then of course the vent, don't forget the vent. And when you're putting on the passenger side, don't forget the crash triangle if that's something that you intend to keep on your car. Some people take it off. I've taken them off on my other cars where the wheels rub into them if it's too wide in the back. But other than that, we just gotta tighten up the lug nuts, put this down, and we'll go ahead and get the new pumps ordered and installed, and then hopefully this car will start up. So thanks for watching, and I'll update you on the 244 next time.